Hi, I'm Rowdy.
And I'm Dave.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Positive Empowerment Moment.
Hey, we're having lots of fun.
Yeah, we are having a good time here. And Dave, I want to ask you a question. You were talking earlier, just kind of off screen, about fairness.
Okay.
And what you were talking about really intrigues me because some of the terminology I've never heard before in that way. I mean, I kind of can correlate what you're talking about and understand it, but the actual terminology,
Well,
I have no idea.
I'll tell you what, I love the terminology, and we're not professionals.
No.
Right? We could tell you that right now, we're not professionals,
We're
but
not.
we want to give you information.
Right.
And what you're talking about is, here we go.
Okay.
I got to put on my I know a lot about stuff, right?
So buckle up.
Yeah, exactly. You talk like that, and you bring your eyelids down. Oh, yeah. It's the fallacy of fairness.
Wow. Fallacy of fairness. Okay. Tell me about it.
So you've probably experienced this.
Okay.
Right? You have children.
I think so. I'm paying for 2 kids.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
It's going to make me bust up, and I won't be able to recover.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
Yes.
2 kids.
Yes.
I suspect you've asked them to do chores.
Oh my gosh. Yes. All the time.
And because you've got 2, one of them, and they always do it, and I'm sure everyone out there has heard it. Mm-hmm. It's not fair.
Why am I supposed to do this? It's not my turn.
Yeah, she's supposed to do it because I do it a whole lot more than her.
That's exactly right. Do you have a camera in my house?
Man, I swear.
Because that's exactly how it goes in my house.
But that would be
Yes.
super weird.
Yeah, it would be
Right?
weird.
Yeah. I don't think I do.
I don't think you do either.
But it happens. I remember doing it when I was a kid.
Yes.
You know, oh, you got to do the kitchen. Why?
Yeah.
You get that whiny thought process.
Right. Why do I got to milk the goat? It's not my turn.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember milking goats when I was a kid.
Horrible.
Okay.
PTSD. Okay.
Fallacy of fairness.
Fallacy of fairness.
So here's the thing is the kids grow up, and what's funny about it is that it kind of never goes away.
Okay.
We all kind of start thinking life should be fair.
Like constantly.
Yeah.
It needs to be fair for me.
Yep. Because, I mean, think about it in your own life, right? It's not fair that my boss makes me do this. It's not fair that I don't earn enough money for what I do. It's not fair that life hasn't blessed me with everything I could ever want. It's not fair that I'm rich, or that I'm not rich. There we go.
Yeah.
It's not fair that I'm poor. Everybody else seems to have what they want.
Yeah. It's not fair that I don't have that nice house, or that I didn't get that promotion, or that I'm not living this life that I feel like I should be dealt.
Absolutely. So what do you do as a parent when one of your kids throws down and it's not fair?
You know what? A lot of the time at my house, I'm like, I let them know, you're right, it's not fair, but I asked you to do it, I want you to do it, go do it.
There you go. It's funny because it's like you agree with them. It's like it's not fair. But then we as adults, it's like, why should we now think, well, it should be fair?
So is there somebody that, at work, I don't have somebody, if I'm thinking that, I'm stumbling over my words because my brain is going faster than my tongue. But at work, if I say, I don't believe that's fair, I should have had this opportunity, I don't have somebody standing next to me going, you're right, it's not fair. Right?
That's exactly right.
No physical person there.
Right.
But what should I do?
So one of the things that it's more big words.
Okay, lay it on me.
Cognitive restructuring.
Cognitive restructuring.
Cognitive restructuring, which
Wow.
is really just a fancy word for just rethink it. Right?
Okay.
Reprogram yourself.
Now you got me.
Okay.
Reprogramming, rethinking.
Nice.
Tell me more.
Because this idea of like the fallacy of fairness and some of the other cognitive distortions, these are all cognitive distortions.
Okay.
We talked about a couple in a previous episode. We're talking about a couple today.
Excellent.
They're automatic. So if something happens, we get this thought that just goes into our mind that says that's not fair. It's not that we intentionally are analyzing it and saying, you know what? That's not fair.
Right.
Right? It's just kind of like,
just
that
pops in?
sucked. That's not fair. Hey, that's not fair.
Okay.
It just pops in. Yep. Kind of like we're guys, ideas pop on our minds
All the time. Constantly.
Get out of there.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's, I don't know, girls do that too.
Yeah, I'm
Women,
sure.
Men, I don't know.
But we're guys, so we relate it to being a guy.
Absolutely. So this cognitive restructuring is essentially you got to rethink it. You got to question. We talked about Socratic questioning in the past, but you got to question to yourself. You got to say, well, why does it have to be fair?
I like that.
Or you could just tell yourself, it's not fair. You're exactly right.
You're right, it's not fair. But why does it have to be fair?
And why does that change anything? So the boss is treating you unfairly. Is there supposed to? Do you Do you find a cop and arrest him for not being fair?
I don't think you can.
You can't.
Right.
And that's, so if you think to yourself, that's not fair, but then you start to restructure your thought process and you say, wow, it's not fair, but that's okay.
It's okay.
That's
It's okay to not be fair because life isn't fair.
That's exactly right. It's not that we have to get depressed about how life is not fair. We could say, okay, great, granted, life is not fair. What can I do about it to make it better for me, even though it's not fair?
Cognitive restructuring. I like that.
Absolutely.
So you mentally have to tell yourself, yeah, acknowledge it. You're right, this isn't fair. But me being upset about this not being fair isn't going to change anything. So I've got to move on and find the good out of that situation.
That's exactly right. I always tell myself, all I can do is all I can do.
Right.
We can't do more than what we can do.
That sounds fantastic. I like that.
Thanks. Sometimes I say it and I'm like, I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes total sense to me.
In my mind, it kind of makes sense. But,
Yeah.
I don't know. But okay, another cognitive distortion. We'll do 2 in this episode. We'll do a couple in a future episode.
Excellent. I like it.
Mental filtering.
Mental filtering. What's that?
So you have had thoughts that in your past things have worked well for you.
Yes.
You've had thoughts in your thought processor that things have not worked well for you.
Yes.
So mental filtering would be concentrating on the negative.
Oh. Focusing on the bad in the situation?
Absolutely. You look back and you're like, oh, man, this always happens to me. Something like that. Now that gets into another cognitive distortion. But when we start thinking, man, nothing good ever happens. I mean, look at all these examples of my past of when I screwed up.
Yes.
Or look at all these examples of when people mistreated me. Or when life wasn't fair.
So you constantly focus on that bad situation or the bad thing that happened to you.
Absolutely. And again, this is automatic, right? It's not like you were looking at your life and you're thinking, here's a list of good things that happen and here's a list of bad things. Let's just throw away the good stuff and let's concentrate on the bad.
Okay.
Right? Because that would mean that we did it intentionally. But the distortion of mental filtering is it's automatic. We just only think about it. Now, your kids do the same thing?
Absolutely.
My
Constantly.
kids do the same thing?
Yes, all the time. And you know, even more so, the thought that comes to my mind is I had a job once where I would go to work and I think this happens all the time with different people and different jobs that you have. You always have that person that you work around, or not always, but for the most part, you can always kind of focus or find somebody in your job that all they ever do is talk about the bad that goes on in that job. Like, oh my gosh, this happened and this is typical because they don't care about us because we're just this and this is never going to change and it's just this bad situation, like this happened because of who I am. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that the common term I think is a Debbie Downer.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right. And
Yep.
it reminds me. I don't know if I can do this copyright, but I want to make this face now.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can or not, but we did.
I totally did.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I like
Debbie
it.
Downer, right?
Yep.
I feel like there should be like a trumpet sound or trombone sound.
Yes.
From you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I do know what you're talking
We
about.
better not mention where that comes from,
No.
but we'll get in trouble.
Yeah, but we know where it's at.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you could concentrate on the negative, but how does that even help?
It doesn't. It's
And-
not going to help the situation at all.
That's exactly it. And you clearly positive stuff happens.
Absolutely.
So how do we counter this?
So offhand, just based off of what we've talked about, I would say that if you think and you're dwelling on a negative, you would want to immediately find the positive that came out of that situation.
Okay, great.
Right?
Absolutely. What if you can't find a positive that came out of the situation? What if you just struggle? You're like, man, maybe a member of your family died, and you're like, that really sucks.
Okay.
Right? And then you're like, okay, great. So that's a negative experience. That's a thought process that came out. What's the good that comes out of that? What if you really struggle to come up with something good?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I don't think I've ever been asked that. And I think for me that would be hard. With losing somebody like that, that's a huge thing, right? You lose somebody in your family or you lose somebody that's close to you and you've got to kind of make it past that point where this sucks. And I've always been told you just kind of have to force your way to move forward. But I don't know. That's a good question. What do you think?
It is a hard one. That is extremely challenging because death is something we cannot control.
Sure, at all.
It's completely outside of our control. And so now we're stuck thinking, all right, this negative thing. I wonder if rather than concentrating on the negative aspect of it, you concentrate on the fact that people will say stuff like, well, end of their suffering. Now they don't have to deal with all this crap anymore, stuff like that. And that is a way of trying to concentrate on the positive aspect of it.
Okay.
But in the end, I wonder if you just have to say, it's going to happen to all of us. It's going to be one of those things that it does end suffering. It does make it so that our time here is done. And maybe that is positive. But we have to expect that this is going to happen to every single one of us.
Yeah.
We cannot change that.
You're right.
All of the people around us. Now I feel like I'm the Debbie Downer. The naysayer.
No, you're pointing out some good points. I like it.
So to me, I think that's when people say, well, ended suffering, it's one of those things. They're in a better place now. You'll hear that kind of thing.
Constantly.
Right? That is a way of trying to look at the positive aspect of it. Now, another way that we can counter this idea of filtering, this negative filtering, is you could make a whole list, right? And if there's no point in making a list of the negative parts of your life. I think we all kind of have that built in. Mm-hmm. But if you make a list of the positive aspects, right? So maybe you've got some real crap that's happened in your life, but you force yourself to make a list of all the good things that have happened. You make a list of all the times you made a great decision.
Okay. Yep.
And you concentrate on that, and you kind of say, okay, if I filter the negative into my mind automatically and filter out the positive, I'm going to intentionally filter out the negative.
I like that. Yeah, absolutely. And you bring that up, and I think that's great. Do you think it's possible to find that positive in every negative that happens?
I think it may be extremely difficult for death. For example, death might be a really challenging thing.
Yeah.
But for every negative, there's probably 4 or 5 or 10 positives that may or may not be related, but still are positive, right? So maybe we say, okay, a member of my family passed away, but I've got wonderful children, or I've got a wonderful set of parents, or I've got friends that just are awesome people.
Yeah.
Right? And so I've lost somebody that I care about, I lost someone that I love, but look at all these people that I still have that I still love.
Perfect. I like that. And and I'm internalizing that at the moment because my brother passed away a long time ago with cancer, and that was kind of a negative thing for my family, and obviously something that my family still deals with every time, every year that it comes around. It's kind of harder for my parents at certain spots. But I look at that and I think, hey, that was kind of a negative thing. But what came out of that negative thing was the fact that I think, this is my opinion, I think my family, me, my sisters, and my parents are a lot closer than I think we were before because of that negative experience, because we realized that, hey, we just don't know when our time is up, and that we are we're not going to be around anymore. So we take that life serious, and we've kind of bonded a little more over the years about that, where we get together now and we all laugh and we have a good time. And I think that's the positive that came out of that negative.
Yeah.
Now that you bring that up, I think that's great.
Perfect. Yeah. Concentrate on the positive.
Yes.
Do the intentional filtering out of the negative.
Excellent.
Don't let it be automatic anymore. Yep, that's great.
I like that.
Cool. So a couple more cognitive distortions.
Yep.
We'll talk about more in the future.
Yep. Mental filtering and fairness.
There you go.
Hey, thanks for coming and joining us this time. We appreciate you're here.
Social media, right?
Social media. We are everywhere. Positive.
Empower.
Positive Empower. That's the handle. We're Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, Twitter.
All over the place.
Yep. And like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And let us know. Yeah, give us something. Yeah. Let us know if you want us to talk about anything specific, or if you want us to kind of dive into some topics a little greater, or in depth greater. I don't know if that's.
I
should go back to school. But let us know what you think, and subscribe, like, share, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much.
See ya.